What's going on, guys? How are we all doing? Good morning. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. Okay, so today is all about scanning for the best longs, right? So going through the watch list, top-down analysis, and yeah, basically looking for the best long setups in the strongest markets. So let us crack on. So this is my full watch list here. Essentially what we're going to be doing is just going through it from top down. Good morning, VDC. Nikhil, I only share the watch list, my current watch list, with members of my Discord group, but feel free to join. Okay, so essentially what we're going to be doing is just running through these on the weekly timeframes and looking for, we don't even need the oscillators on. We're just going to be looking at strong weekly charts simply based on structure. Okay. Can you guys tell me if the sound's okay and the picture's okay? All right, we're looking at the wrong screen. Give me 1 sec. Right, here we go. Can you guys see the Algorand chart on the weekly? What's going on, Danky? Love from Bewley. Okay, cool. So let's get into it. So I could be using overlays here, spaghetti charts, but choosing not to do that simply because want to just gauge the charts visually speaking and look for the charts with the best structure on the higher time frames. So as we know, the top 10 are going to be of interest for sure. And then hot topics, the hypes, the fart coins, etc. Right, so BNB we already marked on with green from the last session. Very much belongs in that category. Algo has monthly div. Yeah, it may do, but I'm simply focusing on just the strongest markets by structure on the weekly at the moment. TRX is a good example of that, BNB. Are you guys in any long positions at the moment? What's everyone looking at? See, most of these charts just look like this, just completely flatlined. And yes, there will come a point whereby this will be the play. If we do really blow some bullish winds into the market off the back of BTC's moves. But for the moment, I strictly want to focus on the strongest markets on the higher time frames. And then what we can do is snipe down to the lower time frames, the hourly, 4 hour, etc. Start looking for potential entries and map out some longs. Long BNB, ADA Uni, ton Doge. Wow. You got your hands full, Nikhil. And Rose. So again, nothing catching my eye. Not interested in any of these markets down here. Link, although nice move into weekly origin demand here. Again, I'm looking for markets that are challenging the highs more so. As logic dictates that they'll move the strongest and the first. But again, by all means, mark levels like this, set alerts for future long breakout plays on the higher time frames. What's up, Drew? Good morning. But all in all, market's looking... Wow, Jesus. Need to just get rid of where I am on the watch list. Market's looking fire. BTC, ETH. Let's just pull them up real quick. So looking incredibly strong here. Yes, we're into the weekend now, so probable low volatility period. But as you can see here, clean move down to the 50 level, resetting the RSI, building up more steam and momentum, and this is typically what uptrends will look like. Okay, so you can see here, broke past that mid level that it was challenging it and capping it to the downside since the 2nd of May, up into the overextensions, down for a reset, back up, down for the reset. And you'll tend to see, especially on the hourly and the 4 hour time frame is a nice one to watch as well, that in these uptrends, it will just be taps down to the 50 level and then moves away from there. And if we look at ETH as well, similar price action. Yeah, so you can see that price is actually too strong to get down to the 50 level on the hourly here. 30 minutes, we have that dynamic though, right? So just holding on to that mid, using it as a support level, and moving upwards for now. We still are in the formation of potential 2 hour divergences in this area. But as per the last stream, we went through this level being the level of importance for ETH, and how this was the line in the sand, which that night got completely burnt through. And yeah, we're looking strong from the higher time frame standpoint at the moment. Perhaps something like this off the back of the 2 hour divergence, but then again, with these resets in play, it's hard to say. Okay, we may just have momentum on our side. If we look at BTC on the weekly as well, we're starting to basically move into price discovery here. So of course, goes without saying, eyes on this high here first and foremost, monitoring the reaction. But even looking at the sort of weekly time frame here, still super healthy, right? Still super healthy, moving away from the midpoint and looking to challenge the highs and move into price discovery. And the deltas have been interesting of late as well, particularly ETH. Right, so if you're looking at this on ETH, if anyone's been watching the deltas, this is what FOMO looks like in delta representation. Yeah, it's looking very strong indeed. The fact that we moved down just a few percent here and put in such a striking negative delta candle is something very, very noteworthy in the markets. And usually we have to get much more of a significant drop to accrue this much flip side delta. And yeah, we can see the impetus and result off the back of that as well. Okay, so clear absorption here as market selling took place, you know, people taking profit, but that bid is following price, running price up, absorbing and soaking any sell side pressure here. So yes, we may see it play out off the back of a 2-hour divergence on ETH, which then could give us that higher time frame retest. But until then, things are looking strong. Right, well, this by default has to go into that list, even though it's a difficult market to chart and trade. Again, simply just looking for strength. That's our only objective for today. Look at Kaito. Yeah, I'll give it a look in a bit. It'll probably crop up soon. Sol getting more of a move away, right? That weekly, monthly SFP that we've been speaking about the last 2 streams, looking solid. I mean, to be fair, Sol can go in that category, just okay. Ideally, we're looking for markets that are challenging this sort of area here. But now that Sol's moved up into this region, the 172s, I think it deserves to be in that watch list. Morning, Mary. How are you? Sui, yep, already marked out here. It's actually quite a nice chart, but not quite close enough to the higher time frame highs here. TRX notes on the chart. Yeah, I took this position pretty much. It was the next morning after the last stream. Just too juicy here, right? So last stream we spoke about how this was a potential area of concern here. So this supply that we're now moving into, but the overarching conditions on this chart are just too promising, right? This in particular, right? So again, you can see a common theme at the moment in trending conditions, really looking to capitalize and play into that RSI reset. And when you see clear signs of price hugging the mid, as you do here, like people don't use the mid nearly enough on the RSI, simply focus on overextensions. And don't get me wrong, divergences are a key tenet of my system. But that being said, there's so much value in the mid, right? There's so much value in the mid. And you can just pay attention to signals such as this, right? Capping price here to the downside around that mid area, flipping it, holding as support, moving away. And it's not just the daily, right? It's the 3-day as well, just around that midpoint here. The weekly, I believe as well. Yeah, exact reset to the mid. And now we're starting to see that push away, right? So yes, there was a trouble area that was very close to potential entry on this position. But that being said, higher time frame is king. Scope out, look at the weekly, play into this, right? Use that RSI momentum, use the rationale of the midpoint, play it up to the high and further. Okay, that's the play here. So similar, I'm in 2 positions at the moment, TRX and Hype, both fairly heavy. So I'm maxed out on my open risk at the moment between the 2. But If anything particularly juicy crops up in this session, then we may have to reallocate margin. Lath, do I check ETH BTC and alt ETH? Occasionally, but it's not a pretty picture. We can have a look after this if you like. Okay, well, this will go in. Fresh listing. XRP obviously deserves a strong position in that watch list as well. And yeah, I expect XRP to be one of the strongest markets over the coming weeks and months. You can see from the higher time frame just how geared up it is, right? Perfect. I mean, look at the weekly positioning here on the RSI. Weekly SFP into daily demand. It's a beautiful looking market indeed. The indicator is the AO. Yeah, that's the awesome oscillator, Andreas. It's a default built-in trading view indicator. It's a momentum-based oscillator, similar to the RSI. Operates slightly slower. It's slightly more reliable, but then less actionable in terms of sniping exact entries. Right, so we really haven't saved that many markets so far. Most things are, I mean, they look like dead cat bounces, really. And those are certainly not the markets that we want to be positioning into. Set some alerts here still. For those that don't understand the process here, even though it's quite self-explanatory, focus on strength, right? Simple as that. Focus on strength, align with the trend. And for anybody here that sees these completely flattened out markets and thinks that that's the best opportunity to capitalize on, if you're talking about a spot long side, based on fundamentals, if you have an understanding of the fundamentals of the asset themselves, then by all means, right, scoop up discounted value, right, by all means. From a trading perspective, purely trading, we should always be focusing on the strongest markets in bullish conditions and the weakest markets in bearish conditions. Hype, right, perfect example. So we covered this position at entry last stream. The entry was, we get rid of all of this. For those that didn't catch it, let's strip this back, right? Because hype has really been one of the most beautiful markets at the moment. Okay, so daily SR here, super clean daily SR. We have this higher time frame range in here. Okay, higher time frame range. You can treat it as so, something like this. Okay. High, EQ, mid with decent interactions, and low. And we break down past this range and we come up to start challenging the range lows again. We reclaim and we start pushing away. We also have this daily SR level in here. And then as we moved into the 4 hour, we can see that we had a 4 hour SR level in here. right? So price just marching on upwards, reclaiming. And then if you scope down to the hourly time frame, that's where we sniped our entry. Okay. So here, hourly breakout. And you can see again, the notion of resets coming into the picture. So this was the entry here. Stop was here, other side of consolidation, right? So we always want to see consolidation prior to breakouts. It resets the oscillators and gives us good steam for the move. So you can see in here, right? Resetting the oscillators, breaking out, coming down. RSI was in great positioning here. If we just use the replay tool, RSI in very good stead, right? Hanging around that midpoint. Over to the 4 hour. Again, not overextended in the slightest, okay? And yeah, a very, very simple trade. Simply playing into the momentum of the market. And you can see the play out here. Obviously, I haven't taken profit in that area. I was just mapping out a demonstrative long tool. I mean, for me, hype, it just looks so good here. I wrote in the Discord, in my Discord recently, yeah, the more I look at this, the more I want to do this, right? Just turn it into a full 40, 50R monster. Yeah, we'll see where we get to. What country did you leave the UK for? Portugal. But I'd probably leave it for anything. Yeah, no, Portugal, Jake, 4 years ago. Never looked back. Never looked back. Although I hear it's good weather at the moment, so even better than what we've got in the Algarve, which is quite something. Holy smokes, that is mad. V, if you're watching this, well done, bro. And Zaj, absolutely called it. 2 members of my group. Yeah, they called this very, very nicely. So where are we at now? Okay. Wow, Monero, absolutely ripping. That goes in. Isn't that where Madeline disappeared from? Yeah, I suppose. That's what you know it for. Okay, cool. So this is the consolidated list here. TRX, we know, okay? Very, very promising looking market here. We can start going down to the daily pictures across these now. I won't chew your ear off anymore about TRX. Yeah, I believe you guys know my rationale and thought process on this market now. Same with XRP and hype. So yeah, RE hype, I'll have an alert set here. No ask. Right, I'm not going to be manually moving out of this by limit. I really do want to try and hold on to this as long as possible. As I also said, spot long, majorly so from the 19.5s in this area here on the exact reclaim of that daily level. So yeah, a lot resting on hype for me at the moment, and happy to do so. Fartcoin, covered this last session again, that reset here and here. You know, archetypal of markets moving solidly and confidently in uptrends. BNB. Okay. So let's go Fartcoin, and we'll start moving down to the lower time frames, right? To see if there's anything of interest, or anything that we've missed and we can learn from going forward. Because there will start to be repeatable patterns. And when you start to see repeatable patterns across the market, right? So the same pattern being demonstrated in multiple altcoin markets, then you can start to sort of really scope in on the current conditions, see what the plays are at hand, and look for the next to come. Going to start cleaning these up. So for me, no horizontal levels on BNB. We have this, okay? And that's pretty much all we had to work with from a breakout perspective. Fartcoin, again, nothing really at the moment. We know the positioning of the higher time frames here. So worth scoping down to the hourly, I'd say. See if any range forms in this area, and just start paying attention to the slightly lower time frames, even down to the 30-minute, and start looking at stuff like this. Okay, see if there's anything actionable. For me, this watch list now, this green list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is going to be my primary focus for a bit anyway. So very happy to migrate down to even the 30-minute time frame to action trades. And even here, look at this, right? You're starting to see a pattern across these markets. 4 taps exactly to the 50 level, right? This stuff isn't coincidence, guys, okay? It's not hearsay. Super powerful triggers to move into if we get an ounce of confluence to do so. Mainly breakouts, whether that's diagonal or horizontal. So again, yeah, missed this trigger on BNB, but that's fine. Again, we can start paying attention to the hourly, right, and scoping down on those time frames, and you know, scan these watch lists 2-3 times a day, right? That's enough. Okay, so Sui moved into this pocket of questionable supply at best. Happy to remove that, especially given the current conditions. And we're on the 4 here. So let's just go back to the 12-hour daily. So nothing we can draw in terms of horizontal levels here. On the 4, we're starting to see repeatable patterns, like I said, trend line breaks. And if we scope down hourly, actually looking quite strong, okay? So 30-minute. And for me, unless things get really manic, right, unless we move into full-blown bull mania, 30-minute will be where I cap it. I'm not going down to the 15, not going down to the 10 or the 5. We still want to retain some level of validity when we're marking these markets. And as we know, the more we drift down into the lower time frame, the less validity we have, okay? But that being said, 30-minute is acceptable. And you can see that we're working with a potential breakout level here. Okay, RSI looking nice. Trigger would be breaking close above here. Being cognizant of this last trouble area being the high here. So what we don't want to see is price move up, which it likely will. Close above this level and then wick above here and close underneath. Sweeping these 2 highs here. And as per execution, you're looking for 30-minute closes, okay? So you're always looking for the close on the time frame that you're marking out the breakout level. We can look at the hourly. Again, really nice position here. 2 hours still decent. And this is where we should be very aware of the awesome oscillator, because I think I mentioned this in the last stream. You can get a lot of counter trend signals to your both the general trend of the market and your trade ideas. For instance, taking a breakout into this. Just take it with a pinch of salt, okay? Like in these markets, I take much more precedence over the RSI positioning, making sure that it's in this sort of area here than looking at the awesome oscillator. I'd probably take this trade if I wasn't maxed out on risk at the moment. Streaming quite often lately, can't even catch up the recordings. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I was going to do this as a private session in the group, but I thought I'd just share it with you guys because just really goes into my thought process in terms of mapping out the strongest charts on the weekly and then diving down to the lower time frames to capitalize and scope in on entries. See again, super bullish market, but incredibly difficult to position into. Right, all we really have to go off here is the reset. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What's up, Angelo? How are you, my man? We could start doing stuff like this, but to use it as a trigger, we would need to do this. Or ignore that last bit. We need to do this. Reason being is because trend lines with simply 2 touches can be drawn willy-nilly anywhere, right? You can literally draw and make up any trend line with 2 touches super easily. That third then gives that level some credence, right? So you can start placing some weight into it being an actionable level, whereas 2 is just it's too airy-fairy, right? There's not enough weight to the level there. $12 at a very, very nice area. And again, as you can see throughout my analysis, tons and tons of emphasis on the midpoint, right? So Sol now approaching these highs, said for some time, want to monitor the reaction here. But again, if the rest of the market is just being pulled up, then rising tide lifts all boats, sort of theory. But yeah, nothing to position into on Sol because of the overextensions. Right, very different picture on the RSI here. Hourly coming down though, 30-minute. Probably looking good, yeah. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see this move off and challenge those highs soon, to be honest. This doesn't have too much data, so we'll look at the 4. 2. Again, looking healthy. Looking very healthy. So as tempting as the RSI positioning is across these time frames, especially the hourly here, right? And again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, you can see the repeatable pattern, right? You can see what I keep picking out on these markets. Like I said before, no coincidence. This hugging of the midpoint is exactly what you want to look for continuation. You just need to find some level of confluence to action that trade in, right? So it's not just the RSI reset in isolation. As I've said over and over again, pretty much every time I stream, The more directional a market is, the less confluence needed, and the less directional a market, the more confluence needed. So if we do truly start moving into, fully frothy conditions, then perhaps you can whittle down your system to just using resets. I mean, pretty cowboy, but also it truly depends on the strength of the market. For me, I'd at least be doing something like this, right? Just look for some sort of SR retest. This is actually half decent because you've got 3 touch points here, broken up. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? Just look for something like this, right? Whether that's a move down into demand, a bullish divergence on the lower time frames. 15-minute is acceptable in that case, I'd say, if it's a truly strong market. And yeah, trade like this, right? Clear invalidation. Okay, you're basically cutting it. I'd give the trade some buffer room to cater for some volatility, such as this. But you now have a level to work with, and it's incredibly important to have that level to work with. For me, I'm not taking this. I rarely use SR retests in my system. SR for me purely serves as a function for breakout levels, really. But again, I'm speaking to a lot of you that probably have very different systems to me. If you are weaving this RSI mid strategy into your system, then just make sure you have some level of confluence, because as I say, yes, BTC is looking incredibly bullish, challenging the highs, but we're still miles away from a full-blown alt season, as you could see from the beginning of this stream session, scanning through the weeklies. If you're truly to drop your confluence that much, which can be very, very fruitful in the right conditions, then just make sure you're doing so in extremely bullish conditions where you simply can't scan through the full watch list and find anything that's flatlined or hasn't moved yet. I mean, this is a horrible looking market. I don't even know what to do here. Really, really janky. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing technical about this at all. Completely organic, obviously. You know what? If you're trying to take a stab on a market like this, not that I would, right? That's way too much of a gamble for me. I really like to be able to have a much clearer read on the markets that I'm choosing. That if you're gonna roll the dice, right, play Russian roulette, then you can just use resets like here. Not something I advocate though. Monero, I was watching for some time, missed this break, took my eye off it. So daily, now into that overextended region. Also, this is exactly what you don't want to move into, right? You see this diverging structure here, and we can even paint it a bit clearer. Flat topped here, okay, whilst price makes higher highs. This is exactly what you don't want to be longing. Yes, for argument's sake, it could just completely rip higher with the higher time frame trend in its favor, and you miss the entry. But first off, there's no trigger in this area, so don't FOMO, don't chase things just because they're moving strongly. And also, you should have something in your breakout and momentum-based system which says that if you are trying to take a breakout but doing it directly in the face of a divergence, especially on the higher time frames as we have here, then simply skip it, because there are so many markets that you'll see that are just doing this, right? Like the hype trade. So breaking out, reclaiming key levels whilst looking solid at that midpoint. Those are the markets you should be focusing on. And the beauty of where we're at the moment is that can be spot as well, right? It doesn't even have to be trading. You can move into, so, even liquid markets like TRX, right? Just look at this and just go, okay, cool. That's a big allocation in my portfolio now. Not taking TRX based on fundamentals. I'm taking it purely based on the charts, purely based on the higher time frames. But within the theory of the trickle down market cap effect, i.e. The higher market cap coins move the first if we do get that full-blown alt rally market wide, that I'm basically going to move heavily into TRX spot, and then filter those profits as we start ripping into medium cap plays or even lower cap plays, with more of a sort of fundamental reasoning to it. Okay, cool. That's it for today. So this is the list here. I believe it was a dozen markets. Save these, monitor them, look for lower time frame breakouts. Again, like I say, 30-minute is probably where I'd cap it. And we'll just monitor these markets as they progress. Like I say, I'm maxed out open risk at the moment between TRX and hype. So if I wanted to start moving into anything such as the SUI break here on the lower time frames, then I'd have to start cutting and trimming. But really at the moment, I have no intention to do so. Very happy with my positioning. And like I say, I'm maxed out open risk, right? So I'm heavy across the two markets. I don't need to be in 6 different trades, right? And I'm purely talking about open risk from the trading side of things, not the spot side. I don't have to be in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different markets. I'm very happy being selective, choosing those that just line up on every time frame, right? So hype lined up on every time frame, right? It looked incredible. On the hourly, on the 4-hour, we were reclaiming daily levels, previous higher time frame ranges, TRX daily, daily here, 3-day here, weekly, even exact resets. And when you start to get that sort of domino effect across the higher time frames, yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look, and those are the markets you should focus on. All right, guys, any further questions before we clock off? If not, I'm going to love you and leave you. Go enjoy my day. Yeah, very welcome, Mary. Very welcome. Hope you're also enjoying the Portuguese sun. And no worries, Vision. Have a nice day, guys. Yet to be seen whether I do a stream next week or not. Yeah, I'll let you guys know. Post it in the YouTube community tab or on Twitter. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, guys. Keep an eye on these markets and we'll see what we get.